on SB 830 and open a hearing on SB 551, single-use products ban. Senator Solomon, if you would like to join us. Aaron, go ahead and you can bring whoever you'd like.
I'll go sit with you.
This,
It's a party.
the party. Plastic-free party.
Well, if you can just read the,
Sure. Vice Chairs and members of the committee, Senate Bill 551 prohibits retailers and restaurants from providing reusable plastic or fabric checkout bags to customers, prohibits food and beverage providers and convenience stores from offering single-use plastic utensils or condiment packaging unless requested, and prohibits lodging establishments from providing small plastic personal care product containers or packaging unless requested.
very well, thank you.
Thank you so
Senator.
much. Vice Chair Gamba, Vice Chair Levy, and members of the committee, for the record, I'm Janine Solomon. I'm the state senator for Senate District 15, and that includes areas of Forest Grove, Cornelius, Hillsborough, and the Rock Creek area of Washington County. I'm excited to be back here to talk to you about a problem that we continue to battle in Oregon, which is breaking up with plastics. We must do it. When a relationship is toxic, as plastic is to our bodies, we got to find a way to get rid of that product. And what is happening, as you know, and we've talked about this so much, about microplastics and how much plastics breaks down, and we consume a credit card's worth of plastic every week. And this is important. This bill is really quite simple. And this bill is about, as you know, we had the plastic bag ban. That was something that we passed in 2019 with bipartisan support. We thought we had kind of got a little bit, took on putting a thicker mill, I think it is, I think that's the term, thicker plastic bag, addressing what California had done. And what happened was the bag just got really thick then. And we want to make sure that we have worked with advocates, we have worked with business to say that it is time for us to get rid of that plastic bag altogether and just go to paper or bring your own. That's certainly an option that we completely support. And it is just about making sure that we're reducing and getting rid of that unnecessary plastic in our stores and retail and such. This is also about making sure that the plastic utensils that you get and condiments and things like that, a lot of times you're going through a drive-through and you're heading home, or you do DoorDash or something like that, it's coming to your home. These are unnecessary items that people most likely just either use once or not at all and throw in the trash. This is just making them upon request. Just saying that that is something. There's a few stores that already do this at restaurants. Cafe Yum, one of my favorite. They'll have you check that off on your order when you're ordering on for them, or you can tell them, and they won't include that. It's about reducing that waste. And it's also looking at our hotel establishments and making sure that, as you know, when you check into a room and you go into the restroom and you look at those teeny little trial size containers, this isn't necessary. And this is actually a move that a lot of hotels are taking. They're going to larger refillable containers. Funny fact, we just went to La Grande for our Ways and Means tour. And Senator Wagner sent me a picture, because I guess I'm known for this. He sent me a picture of these small trial size containers that he had in his hotel. But when I checked into my hotel that I was at, a different hotel, they had the beautiful refillable containers. And so this is something that hotels are moving to. It's saving them money. It's saving them restocking and all of those kind of things. It's just a good business model. So this is just a way to just encourage all hotels to move to that, move that in that direction. And I just want to mention that, you know, this is a bill that is good for the environment. It is also good for business. As I mentioned, the utensils, the condiments, the small container, that will save businesses money by not having to do those items. Paper bags can be cheaper, can be less expensive than a plastic bag, depending on the grocer's purchasing power and whatnot. Also, paper bags is a really big industry. It's a really big industry for Oregon. They will sell more bags here in Oregon. And we had to make sure we really tried to work with a definition, but then we just got simple and just said paper because we didn't want to have folks, we got all sorts of examples. What would this be? How about this? And that really led to just the paper only discussion because honestly, it's too confusing for folks to have to go into stores. They should just be able to look at that and say, they have their own bag or it's paper and they know that that is Oregon's law. So I'm excited to bring this policy forward to you all. It had bipartisan support. This is about the environment, this is about business, and this is just the right direction to take. And I urge your aye vote, and I'm here for all the questions and comments and praise. I'm ready.
So Senator Solomon, we weren't aware that you were excited to bring that to us, but I appreciate your testimony.
Just want to be clear.
Thank you.
He came down first.
Who's next?
Go ahead.
No, not you.
Oh, no, you. One of you, please.
I will.
Okay.
Good morning, Chair Lively, Vice Chairs, and distinguished.
You better put the
members.
microphone over closer to you.
Usually, I don't even need a microphone.
No.
So I'll start again. Good morning, Chair Lively, Vice Chairs, and distinguished members and companions of mine on this committee. May I have permission to use a visual aid?
Once you've identified yourself.
Oh, yes. Let's see. I'm Tom Anderson. I represent House District 19, which is across the street to the Salem city limits. I'm really happy to be here and praise my friend Senator Solomon for this bill. I'm a proud sponsor of this important bill. But I want to look back in time that some of us, those of us with the gray hairs in this committee, might remember, and that's the movie The Graduate in 1968. Dustin Hoffman. Dustin Hoffman, well, being in the legislature is giving you the gray hair.
Okay.
Dustin Hoffman Benjamin Braddock had just come back from Yale, and his parents were throwing a big party for him in Southern California. He's getting out of the swimming pool, and the best friend of his parents comes up to him and says, "Benjamin, I only have one word for you. Plastics." And the chair said that word. So that's what happened, and that was very prescient, and that was 55 years ago, 56 years ago. Oregon has an addiction to plastic. We increasingly depend on single-use plastics, leaving pollutants like plastic bags and utensils to fill our landfills, poison our wildlife, as more products, more and more, are produced to meet our desire. Plastic harms our environment and our public health, just as microplastics from discarded trash seeps into our water, our soil, our air, and our bodies. It worsens the effect of climate change, which harms our forests, our beaches, and our farms. Pollution touches every single part of our lives. During my time as Salem City Councilor in 2015, I introduced and passed the single-use plastic bag ban. And I did that after consulting with grocery stores and other businesses, and this is a thing that they could support. This is rather thin and flimsy, and that was the bag that was banned. Well, the state legislature, in their infinite wisdom, decided that we were going to have another statewide plastic bag ban, and that preempted the local plastic bag. But Senator Solomon has really talked about the problem. This is what the current plastic bag looks like. Compare the thickness, compare the amount of plastic. This is more than a credit card, I would guess, Senator. And this is the kind of bag that is labeled reusable. But we all know it is not reused. It's thrown out just like these kind of bags were thrown out. So the bill that introduced by Senator Solomon would take care of this problem here. The original plastic bag ban and House Bill 2509 was a good start, but it is time for further action. It will reduce the large amounts of plastic debris and microplasms in the ocean, reduce plastic at the source, and prevent the creation of bags that are destined for the landfill or the side of the road. This bill, at its core, is about protecting Oregon's future. The safety and health of us and our children and grandchildren is at stake. This plastic bag ban is a powerful step towards addressing our environmental degradation of our fair state. Please support this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Nero. Senator. I just came back from testifying in the Senate, so
It's still early.
it is. Thank you. Representative Nero.
Thank you, Chair Lively, Vice Chair Gamba, Vice Chair Levy, and members of our committee. For the record, I am Courtney Neron, State Representative for House District 26, which includes the communities of King City, Sherwood, Tigard, and Wilsonville. And I am here today to support our colleague, Senator Salmon. Was honored to co-introduce this plastic bag bill in partnership with her and her team because I really believe in making sure we take follow-up steps to what we did when Senator Salmon was in the House with us, and we worked on the reusable plastics or single-use plastics issue once upon a time. So it's something that I became very passionate about years ago. If you haven't seen the story of Stuff, it's a really great overview of just the journey of how a plastic item might be created and how we see it as disposable. I'm thinking about the story of a plastic spoon that's extracted from the earth, goes through the refinement, becomes a spoon itself, and then is shipped across the state or the country to whatever store it's sold, purchased, goes to the picnic, put out on the table, it falls on the ground and is thrown in the garbage can. So we have a relationship with plastic and we see it as disposable, but really it is something that I think we can improve our relationship with our single-use items in our culture. So this bill really aligns with the need for addressing single-use plastic items. We have checkout bags, utensils, condiment packets, and small toiletry bottles. These end up in landfills, of course, or worse, in our natural spaces. And Senate Bill 551 takes a measured and practical approach to this problem by focusing on unnecessary plastic waste in retail, food service, and lodging industries. This bill is not an outright ban on all plastic products, but instead shifts the burden to require consumers to request the items when needed, rather than receiving them automatically. I will say I'm kind of disappointed with the follow-through on people on the plastic straws issue. I just got plastic straw the other day without asking for it. So we have work to do, but this is a simple change that has been proven effective to reducing plastic consumption without disrupting business operations or consumer convenience. Similarly, requiring hotels to provide small plastic toiletry containers only upon request encourages a transition to those bulk dispensers. And many of you who've traveled last year, some of us went on the Industrial Symbiosis tour, and I noticed in every hotel we were at, they had the bulk dispensers. It looks clean, it's easier for the hotel staff. It's an approach that's already successfully implemented by many in our own hospitality sector as well. And so Oregon has long been a leader in environmental policy, and SB 551 aligns with our state's commitment to our natural resources and sustainability. By reducing reliance on single-use plastics, we take a significant step toward cleaner communities, healthier ecosystems, and a more responsible economy. So I urge our committee's consideration and passage of Senate Bill 551A to move Oregon forward to fight against plastic waste. I'm glad to joined onto this panel today. A little impromptu, but appreciate it. Thank you.
Questions, Representative Marsh.
Thank you. Thank you, colleagues. I have two questions. Number one, it looks like the bill prohibits restaurants from using plastic for to-go containers. Is that correct? Or for plastic bags to carry
It's restaurants and, right.
food in? What do the restaurants say about that?
They haven't, I believe they were neutral. We can double check on this, but he's been involved in the conversations and the lobby and such. This is a move that I'm seeing a lot of restaurants take to, even with, their to-go containers and such, and moving to paper.
Okay. The second question is this one. So for 30 years, I owned a business up in the woods that had a lodge, and we were early adopters on the big dispensers. We did that probably, I don't know, more than 20 years ago. And we did it because it made sense economically. If it makes sense economically, why do we need to legislate this?
I'm sorry, and I should have said this before, Chair Lively and Representative Marsh. I get that. The industry is moving towards that. It's not a requirement, though, and so right now, it's 50 or more rooms. We're asking some of the larger hotels to move to that direction. And again, this was something that we consulted with the lobbyist on this, and said that it was a move in that direction, and we felt this was just a gentle nudge to encourage folks to take that.
If I may help answer that too, Chair? Yes, I can see your head nodding. It's very imperceptible, but I saw a nod there.
Okay.
With respects to the restaurants, part of what we did in Eugene was allow people to bring their own reusable containers in to take the restaurant leftovers home, and also there's no plastics. They're all the reusable kind of cardboardy things that go home. Then I will also tell you, when I started the plastic bag ban in Salem, this relates to your second issue. If it's economic benefit, why isn't the market just going to take part of this? I met twice with Michael Roth, who owns all the Ross stores in Salem, McMinnville, lots of places around the Central Valley, and he said that was a terrific idea. He hadn't really thought of it, but now that it was there, he's all for it, and he came and testified. So this is the nudge that Senator Solomon is talking about. We want to put it out there that, this is what you need to do, as opposed to, wouldn't it be nice if you could make some money on this that way?
Representative Gamba.
Thank you, Chair. You may not have this information, but it's occurred to me since we've had, I think, 2 hearings on landfills running out of space, and this is going to be a growing and continuous problem. What portion, how much of the landfill waste that by volume is plastics? Do we have any numbers out there?
Chair Lively and Vice Chair Gamba, I don't have numbers. This sounds very much, you are channeling my colleague, Senator Noah Robinson. He always wants the data. And I completely appreciate that about him. And I don't have the data on that, but I can tell you, the problem is that our bags are not just ending up in the landfill. The plastic bottles aren't just ending up in the landfill. They're ending up in our ocean, in our waterways. There are mounds of trash in the Pacific Ocean that is the size of an island. And then it's ending up the sea life are ingesting this. I really urge you, and I thank you for bringing this forward. I urge you later to look at the support testimony, but specifically from Jesse Ulrich, and it's for Timo. And I will just, if I could, I met Timo last week, and Timo is a really, really little kiddo who is very passionate about turtles. And he wrote some testimony in that you will see, because it's just so dang adorable. You will see that, but he says, I have been so worried about the turtles. Sometimes they think plastic bags are jellyfish, and they eat them, and it can kill them. And that, Timo wrote that yesterday. So it is just not about what is in our landfills, but is also in our waterways. And again, when that breaks down, that microplastic, it doesn't stay in the landfills, it doesn't stay in the waterways. It ends up in our food chain, and it ends up in us. And when that is happening, as that is happening, we are seeing more cancers, more health impacts from the plastics that we are ingesting. And that's why we need to do all that we can to reduce this. Only about 9% of the world's created plastic is ending up to be recycled. That is an abysmal figure. And we need to be figuring out, and we have work groups and conversations about increasing and looking at other ways to reduce plastic with reusables, with looking at, you all have heard about Ravino. Ravino is a great company that's looking at how they reuse wine bottles. And Double Mountain, that's a beer company that does this. There are companies out there that are thinking, how can I be a better steward to the planet? And also, it's a business model. And so I think it takes us looking at that data, looking at the health impacts data, and also looking at just business and looking about how we can help them and figure out a different kind of next step, new business model that's good for the planet and good for their pocketbook.
Representative Helm.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I think the rest of the committee knows that I'm a big shopper, big shopper.
Sure. I'm aware of this.
And I just wanted to confirm something that I think that I observe in my favorite store, Buy Mart.
It's
You
sure.
can get everything there, you know?
Yeah, you really can. My 92-year-old mother thinks so too.
Yeah, my favorite store, hands down. But I think they've just taken them, my observation is there's no plastic bags, there haven't been any available for years, and they've just taken themselves out of the uncertainty.
Yeah.
And they just ask if you want one, if you do, you get one. I think you charged, like we agreed back in the day. So my question, in all seriousness,
Yeah.
is do we know, and I see Sean back there ready to answer as well, other retailers just taking themselves out of the mix altogether?
Chair Lively, Representative Helm, thank you for that. They are seeing this as a business model. They are seeing this as a way that Fred Meyer, I was one of those, and Walmart, I was one of those crazy shoppers that went in the store and then I'd take a picture and I'd send it to the lobbyists and say, what the heck? This is a single-use bag. Why are you doing this? And then when it became the thicker, it was like, it was the law, right? But Fred Meyer is removed not having a plastic bags. Walmart, you're saying Buy Mart, right? And so this is something that businesses are moving towards. But again, this is a policy that we need to send that message to say other businesses can do this, you can too. And sometimes you need that nudge. And it's incredibly important for the environmental policy.
If I could add to that too, my favorite store is Life Source here in Salem, and they've got no plastic bags. We bring our bags every time. If we forget to bring them or leave them out in the car, we end up with the paper bag. And the paper bag, we're charged for the paper bag. I think it's a nickel. And but paper is much more easier to recycle. You can't do that with plastic. So paper is a good alternative.
Representative Wallen.
Thank you. I have several questions, Chair. Although several of them have been answered. You would think, after as many years as this has been going on, that I would never forget my bags, but that is not true. And every time that I forget my bags, I am annoyed. So I don't know that it's that great for the customer and client experience. I'm trying. I will say that when I'm in Florida, I grab a bunch because I reuse them. So, but to my question. My concern with the bill, more than the bags, and I don't care about the little bottles in the hotel, but I am concerned about the hygiene and health impacts of the single-use plastic utensils and the condiments. Because I can't figure out how you're going to how a restaurant's going to manage that. And also, I really like my plastic fork.
I got you covered.
Okay. And don't forget that I'm the person who forgets her bags 5 years later. Still.
I got you covered
Oh,
there too.
okay.
I got tricks for that trade. Chair Lively and Representative Wallen, thank you so much. I understand that this is habit, right?
Well, you'd think.
Well, I know, but it takes a while to develop, and for some, then it catches on, and others, we have a lot of stuff going on in our, and in our brains and such. But the bonus is that you are thinking about it, like and you really are making an effort, and you're realizing I've got to remember my bags, and sometimes people, and there's grocery stores that are taking some effort in this too to remind folks. But I want to just address the plastic forks. This is really important because with straws, when there was a straw bill, Senate Bill 90 years ago, they wanted to ban the straw. They were like, we have to ban it. But we heard from specifically the disability community that said, wait a minute, this is important. So we made it upon request. We heard when it was the plastic, when it was the utensils and such, or the condiments, we heard from folks who said, I don't have a home to go to get my fork. So we made this upon request. So it is simply that you will get that if you want your forks and such. I actually have a little bamboo set that I have carried in my glove box that I have that I use. So I always have that handy, and I'm gonna hook you up.
Well, let me, a couple more. So to clarify,
Yep.
if you request a single-use plastic fork, you can get one.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, and ketchup and I mean,
Yep.
even if the restaurant has the ketchup dispenser, you still have a single-use cup. So are those allowed, or are you just supposed to put it in your hand?
You just put your mouth, no. Chair Lively, Representative Wallen, no, those will be allowed. Those will be there.
Okay, I don't see
I like
that
the way you're thinking
allowance
now.
in the bill, Chair, so I was just curious. So I want to make sure that's allowed.
Yep.
And then my last, so one more comment and then one more question, if I might.
Okay.
I do appreciate that the conversation has morphed since 5-7 years ago, however long, and that paper is now acceptable, because I feel like the conversation we had 7 years ago, even paper was frowned upon. So I appreciate that, because it does break down and you can use it again. So thank you for that. And then my last question is, there are places, specifically in healthcare, where plastics are absolutely necessary. And single-use items are absolutely the way you keep things hygienic. So I'm concerned that the next iteration of this is going to be in healthcare, and that concerns me.
Expensive enough.
Do you want me to comment? Chair Lively and Representative Wallen, I appreciate your concern, because I think as legislators, we're always looking to try to figure out, but there would be health aspects to, if you're looking at something, that would be part of a conversation. If it's not something that can be easily remedied through a legislative process or whatnot, if it has health issues and whatnot, if there's federal requirements, we can't go over top of that. But it does really have us, I get excited when people start looking at different things and going, is this something that I need? Like, do I need to, and what's the options? I think that we're seeing businesses that are popping up that are completely bring your containers, or you get you pay some sort of surcharge and you fill it, you bring it back and you get the money back and whatnot. There's businesses that are doing these things. So I think it's, yeah.
I wanted to wait, you were finished.
Yeah.
If I might add two things. This morning, before I got on my bicycle and rode down here, I unloaded our dishwasher, and it was full of plastic forks and knives, because we had a picnic a day or two ago with people outside, and they went through the dishwasher just fine, and we'll reuse them again. And then, as I went to open the back door, I had to open the handle cognizant of the fact that I had bags that were wrapped around the handle, because when I go out of my car, I'm giving you some helpful hints, representatives, what you do. When you unload your bags, put them by your back door, and that might help. But it happens to me all the time, too. I forget, but now I'm
I just need
Yeah.
to remind everybody, we're only meeting till 9:30 this morning. And so
Yeah.
at
I'm done.
9:30, we're going to adjourn.
I could talk about this all day, but there are other folks that are going to come up.
Well, I'm just saying, we have 10 more minutes. Representative Edwards, wait a
Yeah.
minute.
No, I might have another question. I'm okay.
Okay, Representative Edwards,
Yeah.
sorry.
Thank you. So in my, in our districts, I mean, we're by each other.
Yeah.
And we do, in mine, I have paper mill.
Yeah.
So I look at this from my point of view of like, how can we get more businesses involved, logging, get more of those types of things if we're gonna wrap it, right? And that's kind of how I'm thinking about this, is like, how does this benefit our loggers and our paper mill that we have? And so, yeah, go paper.
Okay. Chair Lively, Representative Edwards, we told folks they're going to sell more paper bags. This is going to be, we did put in an extension beyond, a 6-month extension beyond what California has done, just to make sure the market, right, and whatnot. But there's going to be more paper bags that are sold, and then there's going to be more people that are going to remember, and they're going to start to, utilize. Like maybe Vice Chair Levy will use that cute little reusable sheet.
I do all the time.
See? Because it folds in her purse. And yes.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, thank you,
Okay.
Senator Solon.
Okay.
I wish you were more enthusiastic about it. But we'll take that for what it is.
I'll try to bring the energy next time.
Would you? So again, we have 10 minutes left. I'll call on a couple people, Sean Miller and Tom Eggleston. Is Tom here? Okay, Sean.
Chair Lively, Vice Chairs, members of the committee, Sean Miller. I'm here today on behalf of the Northwest Grocery Retail Association, and I've been working on this issue through all the local ordinances and then the 2019 bill as well. And we're here to support the bill today. I'll just touch on a few items. One of the concerns we had on the Senate side that's been resolved is just concern over supply chain issues and making sure that we have enough paper, since this will be our only choice. And, this is a good example that is positive for our pulp and paper mills here in Oregon, because obviously we do make paper bags here in our state. In California, for example, they make a lot of the plastic bags. We do see the ban down in California will transition more to paper because there is more plastic being used at the stores. To answer Representative Helm's question, most of our stores have already gone to paper. And from us, it's a business decision. When we surveyed our members on the average cost, the paper bag is around 16 cents, and that varies based on whether it handles or not. And the average plastic bag was 39 cents. So you can see there's a difference in cost there between the two. So it's a good business decision for us. And as Senator Solomon said, I'll just wrap up that on Section 4, page 3 of the bill. We did put an operative date of January 1, 2027. That was important because California passed this ban already. They go into effect January 1, 2026. We want to make sure that our pulp and paper mills ramp up, can make sure they give that supply to California, and then we have a transition to be able to handle Oregon. We were worried if we do it all at the same time, we may have a lack of that supply. So again, this is a good example where we need to make sure our pulp and paper mills are wrapping up and being able to handle that supply to our stores. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Sean. Representative Osborne.
Thank you, Chair. So I like paper bags, always have. I think it's a better idea than plastic, always did. But we also, the same body, doesn't like logging. And I hear you say pulp and paper mills have to ramp up to be able to cover this. Are we going to allow our timber mills, our loggers to go back to work and create this? That's my question.
Mr. Chair, Representative Osborne, again, those are different policy decisions, and I would hope so. Again, I want to encourage that we got to make sure that they have a vibrant industry. We rely on that, and again, if that's our choice, paper, we have to make sure we're able to get that.
I don't want to get in an argument here, but I just might report my paper mill in my community recycles almost 90% of the material that goes through that mill is recycled. So they're recycling this paper and cardboard and that to make more doing it. So I think, and I'm not arguing with what you're saying that we have to have more of the raw material, but there's an example that it does. Sure.
Thanks. And that's where I was going to go with it next. And I think recycling is important, and hopefully we do. But at some point, it had to get into the system, and it had to be timber put it there. So let's remember that from that point, we should recycle.
We're gonna need more trees.
Thank you. Thank you, Sean.
Yep.
So we've got a few minutes left. I don't know who else is in favor that wants to come testify with the little bit of time we have left. Just please come forward. And is there anybody that wants to testify against this bill? Okay. Welcome.
Good morning, Chair Lively, Vice Chairs Gamba and Levy, and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Celeste May Franzwango. I'm the State Director of Environment Oregon. We're a statewide member-based environmental advocacy organization working for clean air, clean water, open space, and a livable climate with tens of thousands of members across the state. I'm here to testify today in support of Senate Bill 551 as another opportunity for Oregon to reduce wasteful single-use plastics. Just want to say thank you again to Senator Salmon, Representative Anderson, and Representative Neron for bringing this bill forward. In recent years, Oregon has become a national leader in reducing plastic waste. But of course, there's still more work to be done. And so I just want to thank all of you for continuing to consider policies to reduce single-use plastics and challenge us all to think about ways that we can reduce unnecessary waste. Plastic pollution has become a pressing environmental issue with ever-increasing production of disposable plastic products outpacing our ability to deal with them. And as a result, plastic is ending up in our environment, especially our oceans, where they can harm wildlife and damage ecosystems. It also feels like every week we're hearing more and more about microplastics being found in our bodies, the health impacts of which are not fully known. So ultimately, we just need to stop producing and using so much plastic, especially plastics that are designed for just a single use, or the problem for our environment and our bodies is going to get exponentially worse. And so we need to dramatically reduce the amount of disposable plastic products that are handed to consumers every day, especially the stuff we don't need and don't want. So Senate Bill 551 prioritizes reducing the use and waste of items that are intended for just one use, not accepted in curbside recycling here in Oregon, and are destined for trash after just moments of use. I've submitted a coalition letter with over a dozen environmental organizations in support of this bill to OLIS. The bill, as you heard, passed the Senate with bipartisan support and encourage you to pass it as well. Thank you so much for the opportunity to testify.
Thank you for your testimony. Please.
Thank you, Chair Lively and members of the committee. For the record, my name is Charlie Plyben. I live in South Beach, Oregon. I'll try and make this quick and squeeze this in. I appreciate the opportunity to testify. I did get up at 5 a.m. On the coast this morning to be here today for this very hearing, so I appreciate the opportunity to testify and express Surfrider Foundation's strong support for Senate Bill 551. The legislation reflects a balanced, common-sense approach to reducing waste in sectors where single-use plastics are most prevalent. It offers businesses straightforward, cost-effective options to reduce unnecessary waste, aligning with Oregon values of stewardship, responsibility, and consumer choice. We know these simple ask first and reuse policies are easy steps that only stand to save businesses money and cut waste. Working through such policies that help evolve our often unnecessary consumer behaviors is an easy and cost-effective opportunity to reduce single-use plastics in Oregon. Surfrider Foundation has been working on this issue for a very long time. We first legislated this in Portland many moons ago. In fact, I remember Vice Chair Gamba here was dressed in a plastic bag costume at that first hearing sometime back in 2012. Shortly after that, I spent a lot of my time going around to different cities working on this policy, and indeed this policy has evolved over time. I think I was chased all over the state of Oregon by this gentleman here in the back representing the Grocery Association, and it is an evolving policy that we're working towards getting right, but this is why it's really important to me and why I'm here and why I traveled here today. Surfrider is a grassroots nonprofit environmental organization dedicated to the protection and enjoyment of our oceans, waves, and beaches. And our Oregon chapter network throughout the state is largely led by volunteers. We have 5 different chapters up and down the coast, and one of their key issues that they work on is plastic pollution. This includes intensive, ongoing coastal cleanups, 50 to 100 each year, partnerships with researchers, business-forward programs to reduce plastic waste, such as our Ocean Friendly Restaurant and our Ocean Friendly Hotel program. And it's through these efforts that our volunteers and the Oregon network are working on plastic pollution at the cleanup level all the way to the prevention and business level in your communities all around the state. And that's why I'm here today, is to represent these people who are giving up their time on this issue and are seeking solutions both in their community but here also at the state level. As coastal residents, we see this issue in a lot different ways than a lot of other people do. We are close to the source of waterways and where this stuff washes ashore. We call this plastic debris season. I invite you all out. This weekend is the Solve Beach Cleanups statewide. So not just Surfrider, but everybody around the state will be participating in cleanups. And we call this plastic debris season because of the amount of debris that we get on shore. And it's really hard to understand that if you live in an inland community. So I'd like to turn your attention to the record. I have submitted some photos that sort of give you an idea of what plastic pollution looks like downstream, what it looks like on our beaches, what it looks like to clean it up, and what debris season really looks like. And imagine going to your ball field or your favorite state park and really not even be able to see the ground beneath your feet because of the amount of plastic. And you had to do a big cleanup before you could actually enjoy that space. That's what it's like in our communities on the beach and near these waterways and near these sources. And I just wanted to be here today to reiterate all the great work that our chapters are doing in your communities and ask for your leadership here at the state level to join them and help in being part of a solution to plastic pollution. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Charlie, for getting up and traveling here. We appreciate that, and for the work you do. We're out of time, members, so anybody that left that wants to submit testimony can submit testimony in writing for 48 hours from when the committee meeting started this morning, so at 8:30. Thank you all. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Senator Solomon, for bringing this forward. I'm going to close the hearing on Senate Bill 551, and I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
Bill doesn't run away too fast.